Hi everyone and welcome back to Bowerful. I'm back from Chelsea. I went yesterday and I'm still buzzing, and I wanted to share my thoughts of the highlights and lowlights from the day and just give you a bit of a download. It was my second time at Chelsea, so I knew a bit of what to expect, but it's always a great day out. I went a couple of years ago. I gave last year a skip, and yeah, the people watching alone is absolutely world class. I mean, some of the people hanging out around the show gardens as the sun went down, I somehow doubt that any of them have ever so much as been near a trowel in their lives. Like, if they were given a trowel, they'd probably think it was some sort of heritage implement for aiding them putting on their Gucci loafers or something, but maybe that's just me being a little bit bitchy. But yeah, lots of beautiful people, worth the price of admission just for seeing the gardening world in its moment of glitz and Vanity Fair. But down to the gardening, mixed. I think that the highlights for me were the plant lovers garden, starting with, in no particular order at the moment, although I will finish on my favourite, the Bat Conservation Trust. Very honourable mention. Really beautiful garden. Hang on, who was it by? It is by Melanie Hick. They did a nocturnal garden with lots and lots of wildlife, lots and lots of plants to attract evening pollinators, for example moths, which of course are bat food. The highlight for me is a plant that's not on the plant list. It was these gorgeous Iris chrysographies, sorry, my pronunciation's terrible, which are like this almost black iris. You can see it's a species iris rather than a big blousy cultivar, but it looks fantastic. It looked like bats in flight through, you know, the way they placed them. So that must have been a last minute addition, and it really popped for me. I liked as well, they had pooled lighting. Obviously for bats, light pollution is a massive issue, so they'd made sure to do pooled lighting and of course add water. So really love that garden. Next up, I'm going to do the Forgotten Forest garden for the Woodland Trust, another beautiful garden. Now there's actually a picture in here of the garden from above. Really nice brochure as well. See this picture of the garden from above. You don't get that when you're visiting Chelsea. My perception of the garden is kind of, I was standing here because the path runs along here, and so you're looking at a wall basically, but it was dry stone walls, really gorgeous. It felt lovely, and of course it had lots of native plants, and it was beautifully done but not overdone. So another gorgeous garden. My favourite though of the plant lovers gardens is the Plant Heritage Missing Collectors Garden. Now, so much so that I'm keeping this leaflet to look at it again. This is the only one I kind of haven't scrawled all over. Again, no, I'll start with what was brilliant about it. What was brilliant about it wasn't just that they'd gone for the whole having a painting of the garden in front of it like it's a work of art, which I liked. It's also that they hadn't really got a firm colour scheme. A lot of all of the show gardens they were terribly tasteful planting, which is so beautifully thought out by such experts that it doesn't even register anymore. There's no little bit of chaos. There's no a slight disorder in her dress. There's no, I don't know, romance to it almost. Whereas the Plant Heritage one, really lovely planting. Now it wasn't done with superstars. It wasn't like peonies or I don't know, roses or something like that. It was lots and lots of that digitalis, the kind of rusty one. Again, I'm going to have a try at the spelling, at the pronunciation, but Digitalis ferruginea, the rusty looking one. But then another last minute addition, I think it must have been, because again, it's not in the plant list, beautiful Aquilegia chrysantha. Now, the only one I can find online is Aquilegia chrysantha Yellow Queen. It's a fantastic Aquilegia because you can deadhead it. I've had it previously, never got round to buying it again. And it has these really honking. Aquilegias are quite cottagey. They're their own plant. They don't grow where they don't want to, But chrysantha felt like a proper perennial deadheadable. And they had a white one that was even bigger flowers than the chrysantha, but still that very elongated sweep in the back. Very, very elegant plant, very beautiful. And they were a lovely team as well. I was there for a while admiring and chatting, and the message behind it is that the collector has gone and left behind this incredible collection of plants that nobody is available to take over. And the lady actually tried her best to get me to say which one I would be suitable for, and the answer being none of them. I haven't got the space and I haven't got the talent. I mean, give me 20, 30 years of solid gardening and maybe I could be responsible for a very small collection. So yeah, going back to the show gardens, the best in show was Sarah Ebel, who's a Chelsea almost pro. I think she's done lots of gardens in the past. And it was the campaign to protect rural England's On the Edge garden. Now, again, a really admirable message about protecting rural England and the edge of cities and how they aren't just, you know, further development belt, but they'd chosen to express this with a huge, great big kind of installation of this sleeping human woman, which I don't really understand. It overwhelmed the planting, it overwhelmed the space. Yes, it was wooden and it was beautiful, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, the last thing it needs is a large sleeping woman on it. Any parts of remaining rural England, I don't get it. Other bits from the show gardens, I'm just going to kind of rattle through these. I mean, it's tough to judge because they're not really for me. They're not for the average gardener. They are PR statements funded by big business often, that are designed to get in a newspaper and to impress the right people. They aren't really about gardening. And I mean that in the best possible way. I think they are beautiful pieces of art and should be looked at as such, but they aren't really about gardening. So maybe I'm not necessarily equipped to actually judge them myself. Kazuyuki Ishihara's Garden Sanctuary was absolutely gorgeous. Lovely to see a Japanese garden, and yes, incredibly beautiful. His use of moss, the moss balls and the rocks, absolutely gorgeous. And that beautiful building behind, it was a privilege to see a beautiful Japanese garden landed in the middle of Chelsea. Harry Holding and Alex Michaelis, Bring Me Sunshine. I think that was my favourite out of all of them. It was based around Morecambe and Wise, and it was for the Eden Project. They'd gone with blue and yellow, which I liked as the planting theme, mostly because I've just seen enough polite pastels to last me a lifetime now. I think everybody ought to have gone, right, we've done it now, after Sarah Price's beautiful garden celebrating Cedric Morris's irises 2-3 years ago, maybe it was just last year, when she pretty much did peach, rose pink, those lovely earthy pink peachy shades. And we can kind of move on now, perhaps. Maybe move on more into the pink, but there was some peach in some of them. But not this one. It was blue and yellow. And it had a little bit of freshness to it. It was meant to be a seaside inspired garden. And it had this kind of weird, cool looking, don't get me wrong, again, kind of concrete pavilion in the middle. liked that because it didn't overwhelm the space. It felt like a garden with a building in it, not a building with a garden round it. And I think that that's the distinction. Certainly the Aspirin Lung one, beautiful building, probably could move in tomorrow, but the planting was very politely put into boxes on the terrace. And in fact, this isn't funny at all, but I saw this elderly lady who was on a walker, and she was really struggling to get round some of those sunken squares of planting with her walker. So at some point somebody would have broken their ankle, frankly, if that was actually your garden. Yeah, so the UFO pavilion, absolutely brilliant. The Baz Granger, a seed in time garden, also had blue and yellow, but that didn't land at all for me. I can't really remember it, and that's, yeah. Oh, what I didn't like about that one, the building at the back. So there was a building at the back, you could just about see it, you could just about see the chosen few who were in there hobnobbing, but it was very much a concealed space, not for even you to look at, not for you to be able to visually interact with, I guess is how you put it, which, as it's sponsored by a wealth manager, probably quite apt. And nothing else really landed for me. So that's the show gardens. And then in the main pavilion, fantastic to see, obviously the best and the brightest of talents in the nursery world were there. I'm just going to pick some standouts for me. Pelham Plants, best nursery there. The planting on their display was just beautiful. It really doesn't really photograph very well, but visually it was just beautiful, because what they'd done is gone with harmonics. So they'd put things like an epimedium, probably Amber Queen or something, I don't know, I can't remember which epimedium it was, but they put it next to a very toffee, golden toffee fern. So yeah, no contrast there, but at the same time it was about the texture and colour and feeling, and beautifully done, and delightful people. Everybody, I was there at about 5 o'clock after a very hot day in the pavilion, and the garden team, the nursery team were lovely, and willing to indulge me in answering questions. Not so all of them, I'm not going to name them, but there was this one nursery that I have spent thousands at, it must be thousands, and the guy there was just, there's no way about it, rude. He wasn't interested in looking up for his phone, and he just didn't care, basically. And I was, yeah, I came in peace. So I kind of tottered off thinking, big mistake, honey, huge. Yeah, it was a bit of a lucky woman moment, given how much I will never spend a penny with them ever again. Other nurseries, what have we got here? Oh, I had a lovely chat with, and wanted to share with you, Darren Everest sweet peas, small grower, beautiful sweet peas, incredibly knowledgeable, and just incredibly kind with his time, asking questions about which varieties, long stems, and helping to understand soil and that sort of thing. I was lucky to grab a couple of minutes of his time. So he is darreneverestsweetpeas.co.uk. The other standout from the pavilion for me was She Grows Veg. Really, really, really cool. I recommend that you check them out. I will be buying from them a lot in future. What they've done is this big installation of like a banquet of veg, but done in a kind of Baroque way. I've never seen cabbage look that good, and I don't think I ever will. There was mushrooms, it was all going on, gorgeous. And again, lovely, lovely team, really exciting collection of seeds. So She Grows Veg. And that's it, that's my thought from Chelsea. Thanks very much for watching.